Hey everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. Bill, what we're talking about today is all these homes along the coast that got damaged by the hurricane. A lot of people are abandoning their home. Let me tell you why this subject even came up and why we're doing a video of it. We were leaving my property, me and Tanya, and I'll post a video over here so you guys can see it right now. But when we were driving down a couple of blocks, every home is for sale. I'm talking about you see for sale sign, for sale sign, for sale sign. Okay, like you guys have seen in this video right here. So what I did is I knew a couple of the people and I stopped and I talked to them and everything. And the houses are empty; they're not fixed up or anything.
Hmm.
And I told them they're like, "Yeah, we're trying to sell it, but if we can't sell it, we're just going to walk away because it's not worth it to us." So these homes, there's a few things that are going to happen with these homes. They're either going to an investor's going to come in, and we're going to be talking about that. The investors, what's happening with the investors buying the homes, because there was a really interesting article that came out today, and basically what the article says is, the investors are pretty much putting lipstick on a pig. They're just going in there doing the bare minimums, but there's a lot more to it because of the damage. And these homeowners, they're like, we still got our tax bill. We didn't get a break for our tax bill. They said we have to wait till next year. We still have a mortgage payment. They still want us to have insurance, okay? And there's nothing in the home. The sheetrock is cut. It's flooded. We're just going to walk away. So that's what we're talking about today is people walking away and abandoning their
Mm.
homes,
All
okay?
right.
And stay till the end, and because I'm going to give you my opinion of what's going to happen and what it's going to look like 5 years from now, or even 3 years from now. And Bill will also give you your opinion. So in the meantime, do me a favor, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel and is greatly appreciated. Okay, Bill. One of the first things, okay, I wrote down some notes. By talking to everybody. It's not like we just put these videos together. We actually talk to people and do a little bit of research. But one of them saying high repair cost. Fixing these homes, we won't even talk about the 50% rule just yet, but what do you think of the cost of repairing these homes?
Oh, the costs can be huge. Especially the you've got to gut everything, get rid of it. Supply and demand. Obviously, we don't really have right now too much of a supply issue with building materials, but skilled labor and qualified labor is probably stretched to its limit right now just because of the sheer mass numbers of things. And you don't want to use somebody who's not qualified. You want to make sure you have like contractors permits pulled and all that stuff, when you're getting
What
this
about all
work
the
done.
scams that are happening? Like people are going in there collecting a deposit for some repair work and never showing up again. And
Right.
like Pasco County actually did a sting, and they nailed a lot of these people and arrested them for being scammers basically.
Yeah, it's when there's a state of emergency and you're an unlicensed contractor, it's actually a felony. Not just the to do the work, but it's bad if you're stealing from people, but if you don't have a license and you're doing work, that turns into a felony. There were signs all over the place because Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough, they all did the same stings.
Right. I mean, when people are down, they again taken advantage of. The stress. It's not just losing your personal, stuff, your
Right.
photos, your personal everything that's important to you. Just imagine everything that you have in your house, and everybody watching this video. Imagine everything in your house, and all of a sudden it's just gone, and you pretty much just have the clothes on your back, and
Right. And then
then
you have this little ray of hope come in that there's a contractor or what have you there, and they just need some money to get the ball rolling, which sounds completely legitimate and everything sounds good. And then they take your money and they're off, and they don't come back.
yeah, and it just like that's the low lifes,
Oh,
doing
yeah.
that. I mean, they're low life. So basically, repair costs. Even the legitimate people, there's so much work right now that they could jack up their price. I'm not saying it's right, but the repair costs. Even sheetrock was going up.
Right.
But now it's back down. Here's another problem why these people might be walking away from their house from what they're telling me. Okay,
Hmm.
uninsurable. Okay, they're like
Right.
they said even after I fix it because I got flooded twice. Okay, let's say my repairs are less than 50%, so FEMA won't come in and say, hey, this house, you have to raise it or meet today's standards. Say they're at 48%,
Mm-hmm.
repair. And let me explain that. If the valuation of the house is basically, and do your research because it might have changed, but if the valuation is 200,000, you're allowed to spend 100,000 in fixing it up, or just under that 49%. But if you go over that, you have to bring it to today's standards. But here's the thing: you might be a handyman. You might want to do a lot of projects on your own, or you might have receipts from repair people. It doesn't matter. They're going to go by a standard cost that they have, FEMA has, that you have to abide by. So you can say, "Well, I'm doing all the work, on the sheetrock and all that, so there is no charge. So I'm below the." They're like, "We don't care. We're not going to use free labor. We're going to put in, the average cost would be to replace the sheetrock." So, you know, uninsurable. What good is it fixing up the house if you can't insure it?
Yeah, I mean that puts you in a quite a pickle. Particularly if you didn't have a mortgage, then you've got some wiggle room, I would think. But if you have a mortgage, you're going to have to fix up the house. And then are they going to put, if you can't get standard insurance, like let's say through Citizens or what have you, they're just maybe there for whatever reason saying no. Then they're going to is the mortgage company going to do forced insurance? That's an interesting question, and that's a kind of a scary scenario too. But if they can put forced insurance on you, which is basically, correct me if I'm wrong on this, that's where the bank's basically just taking the lump and on their own. So that's why they're charging you so much. It's not through a third party,
Yeah,
correct?
and it's always more expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
But okay, but let's just say it's not. Say you could get insurance. Like let's talk about maybe Citizen that says, okay, you know what, we'll insure it. But maybe last year you were paying 5,000, and now you're paying $10,000 in insurance with flood. You know, now these people can't afford, or $12,000. They can't afford $1,000 a month. I wouldn't pay $1,000 a month. These people are saying, I'm going to walk away because it's not like I feel like I own the home. I'm paying $1,000 a month just for insurance. What do you think of that? Rising cost of insurance.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, with all that coastal area, it's going to be widespread, and insurance costs are going to go up. At your renewal for sure. I can't see why they wouldn't. I mean, it's no different than if you get in a car accident. Your insurance typically goes up a little bit, or if you get a ticket or something along those lines. When you renew, your insurance premium goes up. More risk, right? More risk. That's why the insurance is up so high now. But it's a tough situation to be in, and one where you're now, if you're in that spot, you sell, and that's probably why you're seeing all those signs pop
Well,
up.
the whole thing is the people that I'm talking to, their houses are pretty much worth the value of the land. Okay. One of them said that the counties are going to pay for the disposal of the homes, but at the same time, their mortgages are higher than the value of their land. So
Right.
they can't sell the home unless they bring money to the table, or unless the bank agrees to, a short
A short
sale
sale.
or whatever. You know,
So these are houses that are set to be demolished.
well, some of them are saying that they're below the 50% mark, but they just don't want to. They just don't. One of the reasons is just mental anguish.
Oh, I
They're
get it.
worrying
I
that.
understand, but if you might, but I guess then you would have, if you've got a mortgage, you would probably have to repair it and then figure it out from there.
That's why but the stress of repairing and living in, like, a couple of them have the little trailers that they live in front of the yards and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, think about it. You've got your mortgage. You got to deal with all that stress, all the other stuff that goes along with it. And then on top of it, now if you don't have like an RV, like you said, in your spot, you've got to go rent somewhere temporarily. And that's
Yeah,
yet another expense. And then, I mean, I know some insurances cover those things, but maybe yours doesn't. And I mean, it's just more money.
yeah, but do you think that the mental, just the mental part of it, okay, knowing that hurricane season is only a few months away again, that these people are like, you know what? yeah, I'm going to have a foreclosure. I'm done. I just can't. I went through two floods. I rebuilt once already. I'm not rebuilding again. This is what people are telling me. They're like, we're done. You
I
know,
get being done. Like I totally get that. Like I 100% understand that and wanting to be done. But if you can at all avoid it, kind of just pull through. Don't get a foreclosure just because you don't want to repair the house. Get that ball rolling. Let those contractors come in there and get it done. And struggle through so you don't have to deal with a foreclosure. That's more stress. That's even more stress after this is all said and done because that's not a quick process. That's going to take a really long time to run through the gamut, and it's going to cost you money too.
what about this one? Another person was, they're like, even if I rebuild, okay, they had 30 or 40% damaged, they actually could afford to rebuild it,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But they're so mad that property devaluation. So basically, it's really funny. His house, he has a stilt on the left side of him and on the side of him, still houses,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And the saying that the guy Greg said that to me, if you get flooded during in a stilt house, it's a nuisance. But if you get
Oh
flooded
yeah.
in a ranch,
Right.
the home, it's devastating. So he's like, the houses next to me are going to go. Our values around 700,000. Even if my house is fixed, okay, I don't know where he got these stats from. He says that even if I minted out my house and I have more square footage than the stilt house next to me, I'm looking at 300,000.
What I
Just
mean,
because
does
of
he?
stilts. So
But what was his value before?
his value before was 400, but he thinks that nobody in their right mind is gonna go and buy ranches on a canal or on the water, and he thinks that
So he's gonna have to
automatically,
deep discount it, kind of thing.
yeah, like this is a
Yeah.
ranch, and
Right.
you guys
Okay.
got flooded twice, and now you're the realtor, you have to disclose, yeah, this is a flood. This house was flooded.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you would have we've always had to disclose that stuff in the seller's property disclosure, but now there's actually an entirely separate form that's got to be filled out. They do it for vehicles now too. They have
Really?
one. Yeah, it's a state thing. I just was reading some stuff. They do it for vehicles too. Was your vehicle subjected to a flood because the flooding was so widespread?
Yeah. They all said to me too, is like, listen, the people that could afford to, that they're like, I'm done. They can't sell the home or whatever, but they're like, we're tired of evacuating. Even if we don't get flooded, we have to pack up. And like some of these people actually, it's smart, but it's a hassle. Okay, a hurricane is coming. They rent a U-Haul. They pack everything up in the house.
Oh my, holy smokes!
Okay, this is what they told me. They put everything in storage. They actually keep a storage unit that they pay for every month so they don't lose them because right before a hurricane, you can't find a storage unit. They put all their stuff in storage. The hurricane never reaches us or goes south or goes
Right.
north. Then they have to go get all their stuff and put everything back in the house. Then 2 weeks later, it's another hurricane.
Heck
Pack
no.
everything.
Nope. Nope. I let my stuff float away. I would take my personal belongings, like, pictures, mementos, things like that. Oh my gosh. Talk about stress. No way. That's tough. I mean, that adds such a layer of complexity to an evacuation zone. That's insane. You
Yeah.
know, because we get so many hurricane threats every year. We don't necessarily get hurricanes, but we get so many hurricane threats every year. And I know people in the comments are gonna be like, "Well, it's this and that." I get it. How long have you been here? I know we've had more recently, but actual hits. But that just sounds horrible.
Yeah,
That's
imagine
horrible.
going through that all the time.
No, no, no.
Listen, the stilt house people don't go unscathed. Okay, like one guy that owns a stilt house, I can't believe what he did. Let me explain what he did. This guy, he has two boats. Okay, and it's a stilt house, but not like today's standards, 18 feet. It's a stilt house, maybe 12, 13 feet. Okay,
Okay.
he takes his two boats. Okay, and then one is like a 26 foot. He puts it underneath the house. Underneath because it's still. Then he puts another boat next to it. Okay, and then he evacuates because he's going to get flooded. The house underneath that, is
Yeah.
obviously floated. My boat floated.
Right. Yeah. I mean, with this storm surge, like, you're talking if you get a couple feet, that process is probably not the end of the world. But with this last storm, with the amount of storm surge we had, that was insane. I can see where this is going already.
He messed up his stilts.
His
Okay.
stilts, his boat, and his boats.
And his boat. And
Oh
like,
my gosh.
it's unstable house right now, so you have to get. And I always tell everybody before a hurricane, I don't care if you're in a still house, do not leave anything underneath. If you have boats, move them out of the way. Like my house, when the still's done, if my boat's not going to be there, my boat floated.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it. We had a video where it was and where it ended up.
Yeah.
And I strapped it to the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the most ridiculous thing, So, they're not unscathed. Going back to the boat, my boat insurance, I just paid the bill, and my boat insurance went up. And I called them and I said, wait, why did my boat insurance go up? And they're like, oh, because the hurricanes. I said, I didn't have any claims. They're like, yeah, but everybody else did. So, and a lot of other people, just the flooding. It's just some places just flood because of rain.
Mm-hmm.
People thought they were unscathed, so talk about that. Like, zone X, and people are like, oh, we're good.
Well, Florida's flat. So, zone X is not a no flood zone. Just so we're clear, that doesn't mean that it's not a flood zone. And X is a flood zone. It's just the 100-year plain, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't sell insurance. It's not my thing, but
Right.
that's the basics of it. It just means that your likelihood of getting flooded is much, much, much lower versus going to an AE flood zone, which is a special hazard, which is coastal, right on the water, like where your property is. That's an A, I think that's an AE over there. Mm-hmm. So obviously something crazy has to happen because we've had storms. We've had plenty of storms come through in several, not just, out here Wesley Chapel, but I'm talking Pasco, Pinellas County, where it's been developed for a really long time. And we haven't had some of that flooding. Now, Trinity had a problem with flooding for a really long time till they fixed it.
Right.
And when we would get some of these heavier rainstorms, they're more these hurricanes that turn into more just rain events versus wind or anything like that, which has been a majority of them, believe it or not. We're talking years past. You would get flooding and stuff in some of those neighborhoods back in the day. Now, like I said, they've fixed all that. But this storm specifically dumped so much water. It's really kind of hard to fathom the amount of water that came down when you say we got 6 inches or more, like some of us got 5.5, 6, 7
We
inches
got 13 inches here.
in 6 hours.
Yeah.
Not you didn't get the 13. It was
No.
that was over the long haul, but it was 6 hours, which is the main portion of the storm. It was 6 inches. That's an astronomical amount of water. And then the rivers crested, but the river started cresting days later because the water has to go somewhere.
Right. And that's why I always told everybody the most important part is elevation, and then people are saying, well, you have water behind you. You have a big retention pond, you got a stream, all that stuff. I said, yeah, but before I bought this house, I looked at my elevation, and then I looked at the neighborhood. I was going to buy a house in the neighborhood right down the road, and their elevation was 7 feet lower than my house. So what happened a couple of times? I'm fine, but the water goes past my house and floods their neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's like, and a lot of people think, well, my insurance claim got denied, because not all insurance policies are equal. Talk about
gosh,
that.
no. I know I did a video on that and just checking your policy and stuff. You have to remember to check that you have flood insurance. Just because you don't live on the water, you might consider flood insurance. Because if you do get flooded and it's this random stuff, you're covered. But you got denied because you had flood damage, not storm damage. That's usually those are the stories that I've been hearing. And when I speak to insurance agents, when I'm working with my customers for real estate, that's what they're telling us, and that's how they explain it.
Yeah. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think a lot of people, because just the emotional toll, financial toll, everything, I think they're going to walk away. Okay? They'll be like, especially if they have a mortgage. If they don't have a mortgage, it'll be easier. Just sell it for the land value.
Right.
Be whole. But most of these people have mortgages. I mean, I feel bad. One couple bought the house 2 months or a month and a half, 6 weeks
Oh yeah.
before it flooded,
Yep.
and I felt horrible for them. But they're walking away. I can tell you right now that they're walking away. I think these investors are going to come in and they're going to buy what's not over 50% damage. They're going to put basically lipsticks on a pig, like they say, fix what they got to fix and sell it. And then even though they'll disclose flooding, there'll be people. There's always somebody to buy something
Oh, of course.
if it's the right price. But I think a lot of houses that are going to be condemned because some of them you can't lift them, even though they say you just can't.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is those houses are going to be knocked down, and I think houses, beautiful stilt houses, are going to be built, and I think just a regular, everyday person that was able to live on a canal or a waterfront property is not going to be able to afford it. I think it's just going to be for the rich.
Yeah, I mean, just look at history. Look at, we've said this before too. Look at how things just down, towards South Florida as you move your way, north towards the Tampa Bay area here. You've got, it's just big, massive houses or extremely expensive houses, all the way from South Florida all the way up the coast. And that's just kind of what happened. And, times have changed over the last 50 years, and it's not the same. Even Clearwater's changed tremendously over the last 30 years, 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to some builders because of the properties, and they're going. Some of them are telling me it's between 300 and 350 a square to build on the coast on stilts.
Wow,
Square foot.
$350 a square foot. That's a
Yep. 300, between 300. Somebody said 300. Another person said 350.
so yeah. We'll just say 300 just for giggles. You got.
It adds up.
That's 600 grand, roughly.
600 grand for how many square feet house? 1,500 did
2,000.
you put? What?
Yeah, 2,000.
600 grand plus the cost of the land. Plus,
Right. Yeah, that's just the house. That's the build cost.
yeah, plus the cost of the land, plus the impact fees.
Those are
You know-
probably included in that 300 to 350, I would think.
No, it's not.
No. When they're quoting you, the total price per square foot, not square, because square is 100 square feet.
I don't know if they're quoting, but I mean, it's basically what I'm trying to say is it's not affordable. So that's what I think. I think that it's going to I keep forgetting the name. You kept saying it. The areas are going to change.
Oh, gentrification.
Gentrification. I don't know why I have mental block when it comes to that.
That's okay.
But that's what's going to
gotcha.
happen to a lot of these areas, and I do think a lot of people are going to move away. I already know 6, 7 houses that people are like, I'm done. They're gone.
Yeah, and I don't blame anybody that is decided to do that, truthfully. That's devastating.
What do you think is going to be 3 years from now? Do you agree with me, or do you think something different is going to happen?
With the investors?
No, just the areas. You think people are going to walk away or not?
There's going to be a handful of people that walk away just because they're tired of it. Or, the hardest one is, and it happens every year, and I see a lot of it, unfortunately, since we've had some of these scares come through, is the people that are relocating to our area that have never experienced a storm, never experienced a hurricane or even the threat of a hurricane. It's unnerving when you see that thing barreling down, and people don't understand it until they've been through it. And, I know one of my customers literally moved 2 days before the storm came. Before they announced that the storm's coming our way.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, he got here and never been through it before and just went through it. And he's like, it was an experience. They made it through okay, thank goodness. But at the end of the day, it's still his first, him and his family's first experience with a Florida storm. And I
I'm
was
surprised
like,
they were able to get insurance, but I guess they didn't call it because usually when they call a named storm, insurance companies are like,
They're renting because they're
renting.
relocating. Yeah, so they're getting settled first.
Smart.
So it's like we've talked about with our other videos. In his specific situation, it was when we worked through the buying process plan that we laid out for him specifically. It was just better for him to purchase later and rent right now. So
That's smart.
We laid it all out on paper, and we kind of have a timeline and a course of action that we're going to do over the next 6 months.
Very smart. Very smart. Anyways, that's today's video. I mean, listen, that's what's going to happen. People are going to walk away. I agree with that. People are going to walk away, but there's always going to be a buyer for those ranches.
Of course there
and,
is.
you know, and it might be next year that we're all going to get hit by a hurricane again and get flooded, or it might be 30 years from now or 20 years from now. Who knows?
Right.
At the end of the day, do me a favor. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. This is greatly appreciated. You guys stay until the end, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, and have a great day.
See you on the next video. We appreciate it.